Hey everybody, Mechanical Mystery here with a quick video today on if you're getting started and want to get into being an owner-operator, specifically a flatbed truck driver, this video is for you. Just giving you the basics. I've been running for 6 months now. Just kind of want to throw a video out there if you want to get into it and you want to like, what do I need on the truck besides obviously having a truck and trailer? What do I need on the truck to be able to be successful? That's what I'm going to be going over. I'm going to be going over stuff that I have running up and down the I-5 corridor in Oregon, Washington, California, and the US. So all my stuff is going to be based off of that. First thing you're going to want to have inside your truck: computer, printer. Printer, you're going to want to have one that scans multiple documents. It's going to have the tray on top where you pull your paperwork in and it scans them one at a time and puts them all into one PDF file. I use a Canon. I'll link everything down below that I mentioned in my videos for you to look at to see what I personally use. But I use a Dell computer, one of the small compact ones. Canon printer works pretty well. There's some better ones out there that I would have rather have bought, but that's what I got at the time, so that's what I'm using, and it's still working pretty good. Other thing I would recommend getting just to help with stuff on the road, you're gonna want, obviously you need an inverter for your computer to run your 12, go from 12 volts that your truck runs off of to 120 for your computer, stuff like that. So you're gonna need to get an inverter. I started off with the 700 watt inverter. More than enough for a computer. Now I have a 2500 watt inverter because I got a microwave. It's a big change. It's really nice to have a microwave inside the truck. I also have a 12 volt Coleman's refrigerator. Really good to have. If you guys decide to get one of the 12 volt coolers that they sell at the truck stops, first thing I recommend to do on that is cut off that cigarette lighter plug and directly hardwire that thing in off of your inverter power on the backside where your 12 volts coming in. Those things will melt so fast and blow fuses, and it's just super frustrating. They're not designed to have be going constantly. Mine's always running. When I'm in the truck, it runs for weeks at a time. I have two 5-gallon water jugs with an RV pump hooked up for water. Fill those up at the beginning of the week, have them throughout the week. I personally have a dog, so between myself and my dog, we use quite a bit of water. This is an extra thing to have. I also use soundboard in the back of my truck. I stapled it up inside here. It helps with the reverberating sound of someone's APU or reefer running all night long. Cuts down on that reverberating sound inside your truck. It's quite nice to have. That's pretty much everything inside the truck. As you get going, you're gonna find stuff like, oh, I would kind of wish I had this, and you'll customize it to your needs. But for myself, this is what I have inside the truck. I took out the pillars inside here, the cabinets, because it really didn't work. I like having a flat surface area. Makes it easier to working on with the keyboard and everything. Everything is pretty much screwed down on here, permanent other than the mouse. I just toss off to the side when I'm driving. And then on the printer, I throw a blanket on top to keep all the stuff from rattling, because when you're going down the road, for me personally, a little bit of rattling drives me nuts. So I put a blanket on top of my printer to keep the trays from rattling when I'm going down the road. But that's it really for the inside, so let's go ahead and look on the outside. All right, so inside the truck, I've got bungees. I've got two containers, one for small, one for long. Bungees you're gonna need for tarping. There's my long ones. Having two containers, separating them is really handy, because when you're going down your tarps and you want either long or short, having them in a separate box is really quite convenient. I think I've got about 100 of each inside each container. I'll put a link down below for all the stuff that I personally got and where I got them from. If you want a tie-down bar, I got mine online. I actually have a second one because at one point I forgot mine at home, so I was using it for something, so I ended up having to get a second one at the truck stop. But you can get these online. Personal recommendation, if you're going to be using chains, I like having these ones. You can get the ones that ratchet. They're a lot slower. You gotta grease them every once in a while, and to me it's just a little more pain in the ass. These are faster, quicker, a little bit more dangerous though, so you're gonna want to know what you're doing when you're gonna be using these. But I personally recommend using these kind of binders for your chains. Obviously you're gonna need chains. I believe I have 5 sets of chains. I think they were 20 foot long, and I cut 4 of them in half. And then I left I believe I cut 3 of them in half, and the rest of them I left long, depending on what kind of freight you get, if it's a vehicle or if it's equipment, stuff like that. I got kind of half and half. It works for me. Depending on how many strap tie downs your truck has, you might need to get a few of these. My truck personally only has 9 strap tie downs. I can get some more for it. I never did, but my truck personally only has 9, so I had to get more of these to strap down more stuff. In total, I think I have 20 straps on the truck. If you ever get a load of pallets, you're gonna need to do, usually it's 2 on the front, 2 on the back, and then 1 on everything in the middle. That's what most places are gonna want you to do. So for that, obviously, you're gonna need a whole bunch of straps, and I believe the maximum I've ever needed was 19 or 20 straps. Other thing you're gonna wanna get, I can get these at, you can get these at Harbor Freight, super cheap. That is little freight blankets. Real cheap, but obviously they get holes in them. They get holes in them because when you're hauling stuff, they have sharp edges, and you're gonna wanna protect your tarps. This is much cheaper than your tarps. The tarps that I use, they're about 300 bucks a piece. Heavier duty ones, this will protect them from tearing up. Having a little grabber is quite handy. Being able to grab your corner protectors and stuff like that when they're up on high. Grabbing bungees, not required, but it is quite handy to have one of these on the truck. Obviously, make sure you have a fire extinguisher on your truck. That's part of safety that's required for if you get a DOT inspection. They're going to want to see your extinguisher, make sure it's charged and up to date. Also, make sure you have a hammer on your truck. You can use this to pump your tires and make sure they got pressure. I personally check my tire pressure at least once a week to make sure there's nothing going on with them, kind of monitor that tire pressure, but having a thumper is also good. If you get a tire that's super low, you'll definitely hear that different sound in it. So if you go along and you have it flat, you want to be able to check your tire pressure. So I've got one of these for checking my tire pressure, and then obviously something to fill it with. I have an air connector on the truck off my air tanks that I hook up with an air hose, and I can fill my own tires if I'm on the road and I start getting a low tire or get a flat that I can pump up to get to my next stop to get fixed or whatnot. I also have a heat gun. This just checks the temperature of different components if maybe I'm getting something going on. Not required, but just something extra handy to have on the truck. So here's some of my straps. I currently got some loose stuff on here that I got for free, tied down on the truck. I got, this is my cheaper tarp. The heavier duty ones I've stashed underneath the truck because I had someone steal one of mine that I had on my bed, so now I store them underneath the truck between the framing of the trailer. This is my personal recommendation. When you need to strap something down, this is what you're going to be using to tie them down. You put that bar in there and you tighten it down. So for my truck, come underneath here and up here. So there is my tarps where I stashed them. Previous owner had built this real handy wood rack underneath here between the frame rails. Quite nice to have. When you're getting a flatbed, this one that I got is a steel frame, aluminum decking, and then it has the boards on here. Some places require you to have these boards on there because they're going to want to put a board across for chocking a vehicle or equipment, and they put nails inside that part of it to kind of to secure the board. So some places might require you to have that. So when you're looking at different trailers to buy, something that you might want to consider. So for my trailer, I have a sliding axle. So both these tires will slide together as a pair. Personally for me, I like having the single slider, but a lot of flatbed drivers like having the one axle in the back and then the other one that's in the front. As long as you have so much separation between the two tires, it allows you to put so much per axle. So look up your laws in your state on what you're allowed to do. So I have a spare tire, not required because I don't have the tools on the truck to change my own tires right now, but having a spare one is good just in case that the truck stop you go to, for some stupid reason, is all out of the tire size that you have an extra one that you can slap on there if you blew one. Keep note of what tire size you have. My entire truck uses 11R 22.5s, so that's quite convenient, but just keep that in mind. So another thing you're going to need to have is some dunnage wood. This is just a support underneath the load that maybe they don't provide it to you. I'd recommend having at least 10 of these on your truck and have them the width that your truck is. All right, so some of the other stuff that we have here, we got our edge protectors. So I've got about 20 of these. Now I do have more. I'd probably recommend having at least probably 30 of these. I've got 20 of these, and then I've got about, I think, 10 to 20 of these. These are garbage. I hate these ones. These ones are far better. I like these ones more simply because, one, they've got more surface area compared to these ones, obviously, and then also these ones stack much easier than these ones do with other ones. These ones fit in here much easier, so these ones I really don't like that much. These ones I really do, so I would recommend getting a good set of those. And then obviously you're gonna need straps. I think I ordered about 20 of these initially. I've got a decent amount in here that I would normally have, and then I've got some extra ones below the truck as well. You're also gonna wanna have a basic tool set with you as well. Optional but makes your life a lot easier is one of these. This is a strap roller, so you hook this on the side of your flatbed like that. It clamps into where the siding is, and then slide that on there, put your strap through there, and you just wind it up. Now I have seen some guys actually have a drill that they attach to this side, and it just, you know, winds it up a little bit faster, but this will save you a lot of time when you're trying to roll up all your straps. Also make sure you have extra spare fuses for your truck and your safety triangles. You're also probably going to want to have some extra coolant just in case you start getting a leak. You can top off your system on the road. I got some more of these basic freight protectors for my tarps. Then I've got one of my sets of tire chains. You're going to want to have, I use singles, so I have 3 sets of singles. One to go on each outside of both my duals, and then one on the trailer. Now I've only used it once, but having a ladder on my truck was very handy the time that I did need it. Not really required, but I would recommend having something on the truck, maybe not quite this tall, but something where you can climb up on your load, climb up on the side. Some places don't like you getting on top of your trailer, so this is a good alternative to being able to get up to undo straps or undo bungees, maybe strap some more bungees up, stuff like that. Maybe you have to get on top of the load, different stuff like that. Like I said, I've only had to use it like once or twice, but when I needed it, so it just sits back here strapped up, and yeah, that's another thing I would recommend getting. So I'd recommend having one of these on your truck. This is a piggyback, having an extra diaphragm and a clamp for it. Wow. Now this is what actually stops your truck or holds your truck when you put your parking brake on. I'll do another video maybe later on about that, but having an extra one of these on your truck is good because I've actually had air cans start to go bad. Actually the diaphragm started leaking, started getting a hole in there, started getting bigger and bigger, and then my truck starts cycling air quicker. Every time it has to build up air, it purges, so you can start hearing that purge, and it starts happening a little more often than it should, and you're like, okay, what's going on? So it turned out what was actually happening was the diaphragm inside here for the spring brake side of things was going bad. My service brake side, which is this diaphragm here, was still fine, but the inside here there's another diaphragm that controls your spring in there. I don't recommend ever removing this part here, even when it's caged. It's just a little bit risky business. I just replace the thing when that kind of stuff happens. But having an extra one of these on your truck is quite handy. If you know how to work on your own truck and you know how to change these, it's going to be a good benefit to you on the road because you're going to be able to change this, not have to wait for a mechanic, not have to wait for the shop and the long wait time. You can just get it done yourself. One of the risks of just, you know, getting to the next truck stop and having someone else do it is when you're running down the road and if you're constantly cycling air, your air compressor on your truck builds up a lot of heat. It's not meant to constantly be doing that all the time. So you're actually overheating your lines to your air compressor, and eventually your line from your air compressor can go bad because it gets super hot, it gets worn out. So it's just putting more wear and tear on the engine. So having this, knowing how to change it, knowing how to do basic mechanics on your truck is going to be really beneficial to anyone that wants to get into being an owner-operator, because you are the only one out there. You have to figure it all out. You can pay someone to do it for you, but that gets a lot really expensive in the long run. So knowing a little bit about mechanics is good. Honestly, I would say if you really want to get an owner-operator, start learning about being a mechanic first, because that's going to save you a lot. Knowing a truck, knowing what's on there and how it functions, doing basic maintenance and stuff like that on it, it's going to be quite beneficial for you. One other thing I would recommend getting is that little device up there. That's called a pre-pass. That enables you to pass the weigh stations. Occasionally you get a red light or a green light, and sometimes you're able to pass them, sometimes you don't, sometimes you still got to pull in and whatnot. But having one of those does save you quite a bit of time for having to pull into some weigh stations. I don't remember what I paid per month, but definitely was worth it. So one of the other things I would recommend having with you is a set of tools to work on the truck, stuff like that. Extra lights, extra markers, blinkers, stuff like that. Stuff to fix wiring, basic stuff like that. Just getting into it, starting to understand it. When you first get your own truck, just kind of going through it and understanding everything. I did not get a brand new truck and trailer when I first started. I got a used truck and trailer that needed quite a bit of work. So just getting into it, starting to see, okay, what's wrong with it, and all that stuff. really helps to have a mechanical background. If you're have a few years in the shop as a diesel mechanic, doing basic, even just the basic maintenance on it, don't necessarily have to be doing engine rebuilds and training rebuilds and all that stuff. That stuff's pretty high up there, but just doing basic maintenance on it, understanding what's going on, diagnosing the system and whatnot, that's going to be really beneficial for anybody that's really trying to get into this industry. I'll say, for as far as tools that I personally have, I got a full wrench set going, you know, down from the really small stuff all the way up. I think the biggest wrench that I carry on my truck is 1.5 inches. That's the biggest wrench that I have. I have a socket set as well. I have a little kit that I carry in there as well. Don't use them too often, but when you need it, you need it. I also have basic stuff to repair wiring. I have a voltmeter on my truck to kind of diagnose stuff if something's going on, but for the most part I don't use too much of it, but like I said, it's when you need it, so it's better to have it on the truck and just have it there just in case. And then during the summertime I usually dish my chains, take them out of the truck. It's just extra weight in there, and then I put them in when the passes start getting close to being snowy, or if the season's not quite over for snowing, then obviously you want to keep them on your truck just in case you get a late flurry and you need to still chain up. Hope you guys found this video useful. Hopefully somebody will benefit from it. So until next time, this has been Mechanical Mystery. Stay safe, take care, and I'll see you in the next video.